All right, what is up, Mortgage Coach community? I am interviewing Hope Bourman for this first time.
Yeah.
I've known Hope for many years. She helped build High Trust Coaching with Todd Duncan, and she ran High Trust Coaching for over 6 years. And so we collaborated a lot. But
hmm
usually I'd be interviewing Todd, and today I get to interview Hope. She runs Signature Coaching, and we've got a mutual client, or at least one mutual client, who was on stage at the Modern Mortgage Summit, Matt Adler, who did $180 million last year.
Yes.
Incredible mortgage professional. So Hope, welcome to the Mortgage Coach community as a speaker.
Thank you, Dave. I'm super excited to be here with you. I mean, yes, you and I have been in each other's orbit for quite some time. I know that I've been listening to you to keep my head in the game for more than 25 years. So this is going to be a lot of fun to be interviewed with you, Dave. So thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm really looking forward to just hearing, the voice. You've got over 25 loan officers that you coach,
Mhm.
very deep relationships. So just having what's going through everybody's mind right now, and then also what are you telling folks? So I mean, I do think we're on the tail end of this cycle, and it's time to go on the offense.
Mhm.
But what are your thoughts, and what are you hearing from your clients, and what are you coaching them on?
Yeah, so it's really kind of interesting, I mean, Dave, you and I have been in this business for a long time, and it's always evolving and it's always changing. And it's one of the reasons why I've always loved this industry is because it always evolves and it always changes. And you just can't be gun shy. I think you've been in the business, if you've been in the business for 20, 25 years, you're not gun shy. You're just kind of saying, bring it. So there has been a lot of changes and there's a lot of buzz going on about Rocket and Mr. Cooper and all of that. And the thing is that what I've learned, over the years is, you just obviously you just stay focused on your business. Stay focused on your disciplines. Do the things that you know you're supposed to do. And one of the things that I'm really focusing on with my clients is that we are starting to get busier again. Majority of my clients are top producing managers and or branch managers or even above that level. And I keep telling them, don't forget about 2023. 2023 kind of hit us. We all saw it coming, or maybe we didn't see it coming, but when it came, it hit us right between the eyes. And a lot of us kind of felt that, we didn't realize that it was going to be that dramatic and that it was going to last as long as it did, but it did. So I want everybody, and we obviously, as a result of that, started redeveloping and reestablishing our skills, our sales skills, our relationship building skills, our discipline skills, all of those things that we know we're supposed to be doing that kind of fell off the bus, right? And so we've now reestablished and we've rebuilt our business probably better than it ever was before. And when we start getting busy, it's just so important not to forget about those daily disciplines, weekly disciplines, those best practices that we've had in place that needs to continue no matter what.
Yeah.
So we've been thinking a lot about that.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I think we are in a season where like the term going to the next level has
Yes.
never been more important. I mean, Rocket has gone to the next level.
Yes.
They acquired Redfin, that has over 50 million purchase people that are looking at home search. They
Mhm.
acquired Mr. Cooper, the largest servicing portfolio, and so like they're going to the next level.
They
And
are.
and let's face it, in order for them to pull that off, they had to have the help of Chase and some very large financial institutions. So smart money is going on the offense in
Mhm.
mortgage. What
Mhm.
what are what are you hearing from your loan officers about going to the next level? Are they going to the next level? What if are there some common themes or like a framework of how you're helping people go to the next level?
Yeah, that's such a great question, and it's such a great example, exactly what Rocket has done. And they have just taken it to the next level. And I think that that's something we talk about a lot and navigating the next move, navigating the next big move, and what are we going to do, and how are we going to compete, and how are we going to retain, our client base. And I think that that's really important for us to be focusing on. And what we are doing is what are you doing? Are you in Mortgage Coach? Are you doing the presentation? Are you leveraging every single opportunity that you have? So it's not just, do I know how to use Mortgage Coach and do I do TCAs? It's, how do I leverage it? Am I inviting my referral partners to those meetings, those consultations, those pre-purchase consultations, to sit in on that, to really kind of see what I do? Am I copying my referral partners? Am I contacting am I expanding, growing out my other pillars of business and my other pillars of referral sources? So obviously we have our real estate agents, we have our database as a referral partner, as a pillar, but also, are we looking and developing relationships with financial advisors as
Right.
a tremendous, beautiful source? I mean, financial advisors love the TCA approach. They love, how we're approaching it and aligning it with their long and short-term goals that they've established with their client. And oh, by the way, I tell my clients all the time, I said, the best referrals you can get is from a financial advisor. You're not going to get shopped. You're not going to get priced. It's not going to be any of those things. And you're going to hand that advice, that client, right back to their advisor, exactly in alignment with how he wants them to borrow. So, I mean, we do want to be growing out our pillars as well.
Yeah, yeah, no doubt about that. What are some common themes and concerns that you are hearing from loan officers right now? Like if there were just,
You
kind of
know,
bucket the
yeah.
things that they're most afraid of, or the things that, are just you're hearing most often in the market.
What I'm hearing a lot of, and I coach clients all over the country, I mean, from east to west, and I also have clients in Canada.
Hmm.
And so, what and the messaging is consistent. Q1 was slow. Q1 was a slow start, and things are really picking up. Like the first week in April, business is really picking up, and I believe that that's a product of the work we've been doing prior, Q1 and Q4, doing all of the principles things that we are supposed to be doing. So what we're kind of hearing is that, it's a lot of first time home buyers. I've been asking my clients, what is your price? Some of my clients are telling me, having a great month, I'm getting all this new business, and I'm asking, okay, what's your source of business? Where's the business coming from? So we want to be always paying attention. What your source of business is? Are these new referral partner relationships you've built, or are these established ones that you've been nurturing? And also, how much of it is coming from your database,
Right.
and that type of thing. So we're really trying to source that to make sure that we're paying attention to not only where our business is coming from, but how it's coming to us, and are we consistently prospecting for those new relationships? So, and we've been seeing a lot of, obviously, first time home buyers, which is
I,
unusual.
I don't know if you've seen this. I mean, no doubt. I mean, first time
Yeah.
home buyers are like, I think every local referral based mortgage advisor needs to be able to say, I specialize in working with first time home buyers, and this is my unique value proposition. And there's no doubt. But I'm also hearing in a lot of the interviews I'm doing that first time sellers are really hot, because if you bought a home 3 to 7 years ago, you got a lot of equity because equity has exploded. A lot of these folks want to move up. They
Mhm.
qualify to move up. They just need someone to help them make that decision and see the benefit
Mhm.
of moving up and see that they could. Like, hey, you can buy before you sell. Let me show you. Are you
Mhm.
are you seeing first time home sellers as a niche in a trend?
I am absolutely seeing first-time home sellers as a niche, which is why I think I drive so hard at doing the annual mortgage review calls and staying in touch, not just, having them on a drip campaign, but actually touching base with your database of clients, because those are the people that are selling. Those
Right.
are the people that are considering to sell, or had thought about it, but I'm not sure. And one of the questions that we're asking, and I think it was a question I actually heard from your podcast, is the house working for you?
Right. I
You
think that
know,
was Jeremy. I think was
I
that
think yeah,
yeah.
and I love that question, is because when you're doing the AMR calls, how's everything going? Well, we love our rate, and everything is terrific, but is the house still working for you? Is
Right.
the family growing? Has grandma moved in? And are the kids moving out, and that type of thing, as going to college. So that's a question that we make sure that we're asking, because that evokes a conversation, right? I was listening to Jeremy, that I guess you had done a podcast earlier this week, or maybe last week, and he was asking about, asking those open-ended questions, asking the right questions. And when you ask a question like, is the house still working for you? that opens up a whole conversation around, well, actually, no, the kids are growing up, they want their own room, or the kids are moving out, or we're expecting a new baby, or whatever those things. The house is really not working for us. And that begs the question of now having a conversation around the higher interest rates. Were we thinking of staying, right?
Mhm.
Because we're sitting on a 3.25% interest rate, but really it's not working for us. And that's a whole conversation. You can actually have that conversation and say, well, actually, look, this is what that would look like. And it really kind of gets them off the fence, and your agents really love that part, right?
So, so tell me your thoughts on this, because I know a lot of the people you coach are producing managers,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
so one, they have to operate at a high level and be skilled, have great habits. But I do think to go to the next level, there's more pressure than ever on local referral based loan officers going to the next level and
Mhm.
getting and adopting, not just adopting technology, adopting best practices with
Mhm.
technology.
Mhm.
Um, how are you? I don't know if the word is mentoring, but what are you doing to help them be better coaches to the loan officers in their branch? Like if they're producing and they're branch managers, any plays that you're running,
Yeah.
any best practices that you have to help producing managers be
Mhm.
better coaches and leaders to the people they serve?
Yeah, actually, yes, a lot. I do team coaching. So part of their coaching program is if they want to have me do a team coaching call with them, I'll do a session. I'll do a team session. They kind of direct me as to what it is that they're running, challenges they're running into, and I'll speak to that. And oftentimes it's best practices, it's role playing. I have a large group that I coach in Canada, and I want to say it's 30 loan officers.
Oh, wow.
And this is a big brokerage in Canada, and they are all so engaging, and they are doing the high trust business practices and approach. They're doing the role plays. They're asking for referrals. We're having all of this conversation, and it's really terrific. So I work with teams a lot. And I also work with processing teams because I really do believe, I mean, it was something when I was, a branch manager for Wells Fargo, I believe that everyone who had a seat in my branch was a profit center. So if you were the receptionist, a processor, a loan officer assistant, you're a profit center to me. So are you asking for referrals? Are you asking for introductions? So I actually will start to teach. I work with a lot of support teams, like platforms where we have the primary, originator, and then they've got this big platform. Matt Adler is one of them. Matt has a very big platform. He's got LOAs and processors. We just hired a production partner for him, and so we're actually training that person up to start taking some of the responsibilities off of Matt, so that Matt can do what Matt does best, and that is make rain. So I work a tremendous lot with teams. And one of the things that we're focusing in on is they're running into, it depends on the team, but they're running into rate issues, rate objections. They're running into objections with regard to people not understanding. So they really need to know their business, know it well. And I think that's something you advocate a lot, Dave, is knowing your business, knowing what you're doing. And you do have to be a master at this, at every aspect of your business. I remember when I was at Wells, if a client complaint escalated up to me, it was that's great, Hope, and I would explain it and walk them through that, and they would say they would appreciate it, and they said, Hope, why didn't my loan officer know that?
Right.
Right? Why didn't my loan officer know this? And I said, well, we'll work on that, right? Because if you're in this business, you really do have to be able to master what it is that you're doing and become that advisor, become
Yeah.
that true advisor.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, hey, I would highly recommend anyone watch this. We'll put a link down below to get access to the Modern Mortgage IQ, where we have all the content from 5 years of the Modern Mortgage Summit, and be sure to watch the keynote. It's a 15-minute keynote from Matt Adler. It's called Redefining the Borrower Experience. He did $180 million in volume in 2024, which is just a monster amount of business. We also had a bunch of $100 million producers on that stage. You can watch all their interviews in that platform. We also had some of the top realtors in America. We had the number one EXP agent in the country. Kyle
Mhm.
Whistle. We had the number one buyer agent, Ken DeLeon. So make sure you guys check that out. What about in terms of Mortgage Coach? I mean,
Mhm.
Todd and I have always said like high trust interview
Right.
where you're asking the right questions, you're conducting the right experience with the consumer
Mhm.
with a Mortgage Coach total cost analysis is just the ultimate borrower experience. You're going
It
to get the
is.
highest amount of conversion. You're going to
Mhm.
have the least amount of concessions. You're
Yes.
going to get the most referrals. You're going to have the greatest level of lifetime retention of that consumer. How do
Absolutely.
you, because, and as chief growth officer at Trust Engine, like my number one priority is LO adoption. How do we get unprecedented levels of adoption of our tech?
Mhm.
What are some of the plays you run and things you do to actually turn loan officers into mortgage coaches?
So,
High trust mortgage
it's
coaches.
always it's the first question I ask when I start working with someone. Tell me, what are the programs that you're working with? And so and so they're literally telling me, so what is your LOS? What is your POS? What is your drip campaign? What's your CRM? What systems are you working with? And I run a mastermind as well, Dave. And our next mastermind, which is next week, is going to be what are all of the systems that you're working, that you're using in your business. And if Mortgage Coach doesn't come up, I'm asking.
Mm,
And the reason why I ask is because I do believe it's important. I do believe it's critical. And I'll start to ask them, what kind of business do you want to be running? I mean, what is your primary source of business and what kind of business do you want to be running? Because this is kind of the pivot when you stop chasing commissions and start chasing impact, right?
right.
Influence, significance, all of those things that are so, so important in building a business and becoming the CEO of your own organization, irrespective of who you work for. So if they're not into Mortgage Coach, they are, and it's a big undertaking. I mean, I've been hearing some really great things that I wanted to share with you. I have one client that works for a major mortgage banker, and that you have an established corporate relationship with, and she was telling me this morning, as a matter of fact, that when a client gets the CRM email that their 1 year anniversary and they're offering the annual mortgage review, embedded in that email is the TCA.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah,
you
that's
love that? I
yeah.
love that.
Yeah, no, thank
It's
you,
so
total
great.
expert. We have a amazing integration where the annual reviews are automated. It's just a beautiful experience for the consumer where
Mhm.
you're reminding them about hey, if you paid an extra $100, 200, 300, how much faster could you pay off your home? And it's powered by Mortgage Coach. So yeah, I love that.
Yeah,
And we have other CRMs that also automate the Mortgage Coach experience. So thank you to Top of Mind, Jungo, all the CRMs that automate Mortgage Coach.
yeah, that's beautiful. And, I mean, when I was originating, anything that I could incorporate that was operating on my behalf without my having to work on it and do the work, I was happy with anything that I could automate. So I just love hearing this. And then I've got another client who was telling me earlier this morning that he is starting a new pilot within his organization working with the call center for just his refinance business. And as part of that, he's teaching the call center LOs that he's partnering with to do a TCA.
I love that.
I'm going, I just love this, Dave. And I thought, this is, what have you done that's just such an amazing thing that has impacted our industry in such a beautiful way. And, not only that, but the communities that we serve, the clients that we serve, so it's really pretty exciting.
Yeah, no, it's a really good time.
Yeah,
So let's kind of go into a wrap up mode.
sure.
First of all, before I ask you some closing questions, if anyone, wants to follow you on social media or learn more about your coaching services, what are the best ways for people to follow you and learn more about what you do as a coach?
Thank you. So I'm on LinkedIn predominantly. I'm on LinkedIn. So it's Hope Bourman, ICFPCC, Hope Bourman on LinkedIn. So you can always find me there. Always find me there. And I'm always checking, and I'm in LinkedIn pretty much. I'm on Instagram sometimes, but not as often as I am on LinkedIn.
I think this conversation we're having might have started on LinkedIn. I feel like either I commented or you commented, and then I thought, hey, let's jump on Zoom and create some content. Was that your post or did you comment on my post?
I commented on your post because you were talking about innovation. And you were
Okay.
talking about how important it was for loan officers to be going to the next level. And I couldn't agree with you more. So I commented, and you mentioned that you had seen you had seen my podcast that I did with Dino,
Oh yeah,
the
that's right.
way. And I
Yeah.
said, well, next stop is, Mortgage Coach. And you said, let's get together.
Let's go. That's right.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Dino's doing a great job. So
Oh my
shout out to Dino. We'll put a link down below to the podcast that you and him did together.
Oh,
Uh,
fantastic.
yeah, and I was fortunate to be, I don't know if I was his first guest or one of his first guests, but he's doing a great job of creating content. So yeah, so let's go into closing thoughts. So, we're
Okay.
recording this on April 3rd. Like this is the week
Mhm.
that the Rocket acquisition of Mr. Cooper was announced.
Mhm.
This is the first week of Q2.
Mhm.
And as far as I'm concerned, uh, if there was like a race for spring home buying season and like a gun was to go off, it would be on April 1st.
Yes.
Like this is the beginning of spring home buying season. So
Yeah.
just close out as a coach, giving advice to people around how to win during this spring home buying season.
I think that it is constantly be prospecting, constantly prospecting and making those telephone calls. I mean, I know that we had a huge retraction in the mortgage industry as far as salespeople were concerned, and this year, which it obviously has created less competition for us. And I believe that the same is happening in the real estate community. I think that people are now used to and accustomed to the interest rates where they are today, so that's we're not going to have that culture shock anymore. So I think we definitely need to be out speaking to people, and we need to be out and having those conversations, and that's what's really most important is that, and also creating education. Bringing education to our referral partners, to our real estate agents. They're not familiar with non-QM. They're not familiar with the first time homebuyer programs that are available right now. So if we're out talking about it and saying, before you say no, call me, right? Before you say
Right.
no to a client, call me. And I think
Yeah.
that's what's really important. I mean, Matt Adler and I've been running, and he's obviously gone into Q1. So we've been running at all my clients, we've been running at, at April 1 since all of Q1. And it's hitting. Everybody's saying, I hope I just got 20 loan applications. I just got 9 new apps today. I just, and they think it's a surprise. And I said, this is a work we've been doing since January 1, so it's not a surprise, but we need to be making sure that we're out speaking to everyone, talking about the programs and the opportunities, and talking to our past clients and asking for the business.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And as you said all that, I couldn't help but think, for those of you following this, if you're not following the Mortgage Coach Facebook group, make sure you do that. And we started a challenge this week. And actually I just clicked on this post and look who liked it. Matt Adler. So
Um, of course he did.
so guys, we are on day 3 of just kicking off this challenge. It's called the Win 30 Challenge. And it's real simple. Like it's 30 days. And it doesn't matter if it's April. Like, well, we did kick it off on April 1st. My goal is to keep this challenge going forever. Just like 75 hard. This is not as hard as 75 hard because it's 30 days, not 75 days. Instead of 6 things, it's 3 things. And those 3 things are: one, for 30 days, have 10 powerful slash quality conversations every single day. Have a 30-minute walk every single day so you have great energy, and do 2 Mortgage Coach total cost analysis every single day for 30 days. So trying to create a movement. I would love it if you would like tell your coaching clients about this.
I'm asking everyone actually who wants to engage so I can hold them accountable, Dave.
All
And
right.
and one of the things that I wanted to add to your list, and I know you didn't want it to make it too convoluted, but I wanted to add one thing to the list, and that
Bring
was
it.
do one thing that takes you out of your comfort zone a day.
Okay. Eat the frog every day.
Eat the frog every day.
Well,
That
here's the deal.
okay.
So we launched this, and already like Sean Herrero made his own scorecard, and he's doing push-ups. I mean, he's doing 4 or 5 things.
Okay.
So take this and do one in your community, and add that one thing.
I
Uh,
will.
so I'm gonna keep this one simple because I want, like there's 30, there's three. I wanted one thing that had to do with more conversations. I
Yes.
wanted to have one thing that had to do with higher quality conversations, and I couldn't think of anything better than two TCAs a day. And I wanted to do one thing that just gave people energy. And I just like, if you get outside and you walk for 30 minutes or more,
Yes.
you're going to have more energy and you're going to be a lot healthier at the end of 30 days.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't agree with you more. And those three things are, non-negotiables.
Right.
If you're having 10 conversations a day, and Jeremy was talking on the podcast prior to about, sending out thank you notes, all of those things are on those connections, making that telephone call and just being out, out in the marketplace and having some impactful conversations,
Yeah.
asking, how's the house working for you?
Yeah. Well,
Market.
hope this was a wonderful first time in this community. I'm looking forward to interviewing again. I know a
Right.
lot of times my favorite way of interviewing coaches is with their clients. So
Mhm.
maybe the next one we'll do with you and Matt.
Oh,
uh,
I'd love that.
or someone else. But
Sure.
please stay active. You and I have talked for years, so I know that you follow a lot of the content.
I do.
Um, Thank you for commenting on my LinkedIn post, and I will be keeping an eye on you. For anyone listening, this is someone to follow. This woman is a real leader and change agent in the industry. I know anybody that she's coaching, anybody that's part of her orbit, whether or not you execute or not, you're getting what you need to have, like, who cares about Zillow Mortgage? Who cares about Rocket Mortgage? If you're local, you win with your database,
Yep.
you deliver a high trust experience,
Right.
and you win with your zip code,
Yep.
like you will have a great career regardless of what's happening with some of the biggest companies in the country.
I can't agree with you more, Dave. Absolutely.
All right. Well, have a wonderful day. We're going to wrap this up. If you have not already subscribed to our channel, like, go to YouTube, hit the subscribe button. So every time we put a video in there, you get alerted to it. If you're not following savageinsights.com, go to savageinsights.com. Subscribe to the Savage Insights text club. A couple times a week, I will send out a text of what I think is the best content to watch to go from loan officer to mortgage coach. And so take care, everybody. This is a wrap. Thanks again, Hope.
Absolutely. Bye.